The Six of Wands is known as Victory, and so it's a really positive card to actually draw. And in the actual chronological order of these cards, it's carrying on directly from the strife of the previous card, and we've overcome our troubles and come out victorious on the other side. We can see this over on the Rider-Waite deck, where the character is wearing a wreath of victory around their head, and they appear to be riding back to their kingdom after conquering some type of battle, and upon the wand in their hand is another wreath demonstrating that they have succeeded and they have come back richer and more powerful and perhaps even more enlightened after their victory. On the Tree of Life, this card is very much centred in Tifereth, and Tifereth is in many regards a perfect sphere on the Tree of Life because it represents beauty and harmony, and indeed it actually brings together all of the other spheres upon the Tree of Life into a central point, and so it's like a singularity in the middle where all of these other journeys and all of these other experiences are harmonised. And Tifereth is associated with the Rose Cross in Western esotericism, and that suggests that in order to have this victory, there has to be some type of sacrifice before there, and so Christ had to die upon the cross in order to be reborn and give salvation in the Christian doctrine. And within our own lives, we can see this mirrored. Sometimes we have to go through quite unpleasant times or sacrifice something in ourselves or in our lives and go through a bad patch in order to come out of the other side victorious and having learned from the experience, just as the character on the Rider-Waite comes home after conquering a battle and not coming back drenched in blood or full of torment or anything like that, but instead coming back bathed in the light and beauty of the sun, having learnt and become more enlightened because of it. So, having a look at the symbolism here on the card, the first thing we can see is an echo of what I've just been saying. So we can see that the card is completely symmetrical, and so it's almost like a mirror image of itself. And of course this, as a pure symbol, is all about balance and harmony, just as with Tifereth. And so, essentially, they are balanced with their opposing forces, perfectly representing the aim of Hermeticism, the as above and so below, and the coming together of all that is great and harmonious in the universe. The actual wands upon this card are the same ones of which we have seen over on the Five of Wands. These are ritual wands of the Golden Dawn, and they are actually used in genuine Golden Dawn rituals, and what they are the wand of the Chief Adept, of which is the caduceus winged serpent with the eye, the wand of the Major Adept, which is the phoenix-headed wand, and the wand of the Minor Adept, of which is the lotus wand. And on the Five of Wands, they were turned towards each other. It looked as if the fire symbol, the phoenix wand, was turned towards the goddess symbol of the lotus wand, and they were in conflict with each other. Now we can see the opposite of that. They are in harmony with each other. They're all pointing the right way, so to speak, and so they're not clashing like what they were before. Instead, they've come together, and of course, things are much better because of it. And so this card, we can see astrologically, is Jupiter in Leo. And so within astrology, Jupiter in Leo is going to be somebody of whom is very creative and enthusiastic about their creations and their self-expressions. And it's often said that by expressing ourselves in that type of way, we will actually attract a lot of abundance and luck and success towards ourselves. And that's basic law of attraction, as it's known today, doctrine. The more you put out, the more you get back. And if you go into your world of work, for example, saying, oh, no, I'm fed up with it, another boring day, then you're going to get a boring day. Where if you go into it full of the wonder of what's happening and the harmony and the beauty, which is of course the Tifereth symbol, then that's what you're going to get back, and you're going to really experience an abundance of everything that is good in your lives. And it all starts when, instead of those wands turning towards each other, they work in harmony with each other. And so the wands themselves are pretty much exactly the same. There is one little difference with the caduceus wand, or the winged wands here, and instead of the mark of the beast in the centre of the wands, we now have the winged eye of Horus. And this is all about clarity and of healing. So in the ancient Egyptian mythology, Horus loses his left eye after a struggle with Seth, and then it's magically restored by the goddess Hathor, and this symbolises healing, making whole, and being able to see with a clarity. And so essentially with regards to this card, it's saying if we want to make whole, if we want to come into harmony, then we have to see that in ourselves in order to see it in the universe, which is basically what we've just been saying. And so the fact that the card is a mirror image of itself, a symmetrical symbol which works in complete harmony with itself, essentially it's saying the same thing, to see it in yourself, and you may start to see it manifest in the outside world as well. And so that goddess Hathor was sometimes associated with the gathering of minerals from the desert, and therefore she was known as the Lady of Turquoise because of the turquoise mines. And we may be able to see this with the colour of the wings here next to the winged eye of Horus. But one thing is most certainly true, and that's that the gathering of minerals is usually associated with the physical and manifest world, because the minerals are the process of the birth of the actual physical world and the creation of physical form and matter. And so we can see that purple in the background, and that's going to be Yesod on the Tree of Life, of which is foundation. It is the foundation of which creation has happened within. And so for us living up in this world, it is where we can use our communication, of where we can use our creativity, as we've been saying, to actually create within that foundation. And so it's like a treasure house of all of the possibilities there coming together, as well as a grounding in the physical world. And a grounding and a connection with our earthly home often makes us want to turn away from the conflicts and the strife, like what we had on the Five of Wands, and indeed we emerge out from them with harmony, such as what we've got now. Have a look at the Lotus Wands. We can see that now they are coloured in white and blue. So these are a rather really interesting symbol, because the white is Kether, it's pure spirit, it's above all of the other colours there and the spheres on the Tree of Life. It's this pure white spiritual light, it's the origin of life itself in that regard. And the blue is, of course, once again with the lotuses and the goddess Isis, like we had before, the power of water. And so clearly there we have the waters of life, of which give birth to our physical forms, and the sustaining of our life after we have been born, because we cannot live without water, of course. The goddess Isis is also a bringer of water. It's said that she would actually bring food and water to deceased souls in order to calm them and in order to heal them. And it says in spell number 473 in the ancient Egyptian coffin texts, "It is Isis of whom will give me water." And so she's a healing goddess there, bringing water to dampen wounds and burns and to heal. And so that might be water, but of course we are a card of complete harmony, so we have to have fire going on in there as well. And that's going to bring us back to the phoenix-headed wands. And of course the phoenix is a very fire-related symbol, and so here it represents the power of Tifereth. Tifereth of whom relates to the sun, and therefore it's not the centre of the universe, but is the centre of our local universe or our solar system, because the sun illuminates our world and allows life to flourish and grow there, just as the water does. And so we have a wonderful duality with these two wands. Without them we wouldn't be here. We have the power of the sun and the power of water infused with Kether, the light of which is the true centre of all of the universe, and is the singularity from which all of the universe began. And in many regards on the Tree of Life is Tifereth yet again, because it brings together into that singular point all of the different paths and spheres of the Tree of Life. And so it really is quite fascinating symbology there. In the background of the card we can see 9 flames, And unlike the flames on the previous one's cards, of which were quite violent almost and dancing around all over, these ones appear more like the flames on candles. They're a little bit more gentle looking. They seem to have settled down. And so, of course, that's going to represent the balance, the harmony, and the coming to peace of which we have come to upon this journey. The fact that there are 9 flames brings us once again back to the Sephiroth of Yesod, Foundation. Yesod is a lunar sphere. It's associated with the goddess archetype, and therefore we could say that the moon is bringing a goddess, and so a femininity and a calming and a healing attribute like what we had with Isis, to that powerful power of the sun. And so just as Isis pours water over a burn in order to heal them and to calm them, the moon here is balancing the flames, bringing a harmony, bringing a peace to them and stopping them from flying about all over and causing damage. And so to draw this card in your reading is all about that. It's about coming with victory past your troubles. It's about emerging out of the other side. And so you've put a lot of effort into something, and it's not always going to go well. There's going to be down periods, there's going to be disagreements and all sorts of things, and you have to fight through them and work through them, and eventually your confidence and your creativity will bring you out of this rocky patch, and you will be much better because of it. It's a really positive card, and it can also be a time for us to just sit back and reflect on what we've been through, and in many regards to celebrate what we have achieved and be proud of what we've done and what we've come through with our efforts, and really to recognise within ourselves all that we have achieved.